Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at a psychological force that is so powerful, it can literally build the foundation of a deeply fulfilling life or completely break us down. And I'm talking, of course, about passion. So, let's just dive right into this. I want you to take a second and reflect on your own deeply held hobbies, maybe your favorite sports or even your relationships. Are they pure sources of joy for you? Or have they kind of subtly crossed the line into hazardous territory? I mean, really ask yourself, does your passion control you, or do you control it? Section 1. The duality of passion. Historically, passion has been viewed as this universally good trait, right? Like something you absolutely must have to be successful. But recent psychological research has caused a massive shift, moving away from that simple view to understanding passion's incredibly complex dual nature. And this actually builds into a fascinating scientific framework known as the dualistic model of passion, or DMP. Developed by psychologist Robert J. Valerand and his colleagues, this foundational model basically distinguishes between two very specific types of passion. These develop when we select an activity, value it highly, and then eventually internalize it so deeply that it becomes part of our core self. Just to highlight the raw power of this psychological integration, think about the number 8.39. Studies show that passionate individuals invest an average of 8.39 hours every single week into their chosen activities. That is practically a part-time job. It's a massive, consistent chunk of our lives dedicated to just one single pursuit. And because of that intense time and energy investment, a deep internalization happens. It actually shifts our psychological and linguistic framing. You stop saying, "Oh, I play hockey," and you start saying, "I am a hockey player." The activity literally becomes indistinguishable from your identity. But, and here's the catch, how that activity gets internalized causes a massive split. On one side, we have autonomous internalization, which leads to what's called harmonious passion. This is the light path, freely chosen, absolutely no strings attached. But on the exact opposite side is controlled internalization, leading to obsessive passion. This is the dark path, driven by internal pressure, contingencies, and a constant, endless need for external validation.
Section 2. Harmonious, vibrant integration. Let's explore this brighter side first, which is all about healthy, vibrant integration into your life.
Harmonious passion operates in beautiful equilibrium with the other domains of your life. It brings about flow states. You know, that incredible feeling of being effortlessly immersed in a task just for the sheer joy of it? It allows for flexibility, meaning you could step away without feeling totally guilty. And it promotes high self-compassion. When people with harmonious passion face failure, they adapt. They process it with openness and kindness toward themselves. The absolute key here, you control the activity. The activity doesn't control you. Section 3. Obsessive. The dark trap. So what happens when those scales tip? We enter a rigid, high-pressure environment. The absolutely crucial point to understand here is that obsessive passion relies entirely on contingent self-esteem. It literally hijacks your brain. Your entire sense of self-worth becomes entirely reliant on how well you perform in this one passionate activity. And this drives uncontrollable urges to engage, relentless rumination when you're away from it, and a really defensive, rigid persistence. You end up ignoring heavy personal costs, like strained relationships or total burnout, because your ego simply won't let you stop. Section 4. Mind, Body, and Behavior. Let's look at how these two distinct psychological paths actually manifest physically. The data on this is as brilliant as it is alarming. It's wild to see how obsessive passion dangerously mirrors behavioral addiction metrics. While harmonious passion leads to high well-being and openness, obsessive passion is directly linked to anxiety, depression, and severe stress. Just like an addiction, the obsessive individual rigidly responds to failure by aggressively and defensively chasing their losses. To see how this plays out in the real world, the physical and behavioral risks of obsessive passion are incredibly striking. Researchers actually observed cyclists putting their lives on the line, riding through hazardous, icy winter conditions simply because they couldn't stand not to. You see dancers with obsessive passion rigidly persisting through chronic injuries, rather than taking the time to just heal. It's been linked to increased aggressive behavior in basketball players, and we even see it tied to problematic alcohol use, where individuals drink just to cope with the sheer stress of failing to meet their own rigid expectations. Obsessive passion actively destroys your physical resilience. And to put the ultimate severity of unchecked obsession into perspective, think about this: 3%. While passion itself is a super common human experience, less than 3% of people develop pathological gambling. This is a prime extreme example of obsessive passion leading to severe life destruction. The compulsion becomes so strong, and the inability to disengage so absolute, that individuals will rigidly persist even as they lose their families, their jobs, and their homes.
Section 5. Love, Control, and Resilience. Because passion isn't just about hobbies or sports. Let's pivot to interpersonal relationships and see how this dualistic model completely dictates our love lives and our emotional regulation.
There is a stark contrast here. Healthy, intense love is much like harmonious passion. It supports a partner's autonomy, respects separate interests, and allows couples to calmly discuss and resolve occasional jealousy. Obsessive love, however, actively undermines autonomy. It relies heavily on guilt, manipulation, and intense surveillance. The obsessive lover's emotional stability depends entirely on their partner's behavior, which totally destroys emotional resilience and leads to really volatile reactions. Now, as we talk about obsession, it's absolutely crucial to separate everyday obsessive passion from clinical conditions. As expert Dr. Patrick McGrath points out, not one person who actually has OCD would ever say to you in the midst of a compulsion, "I'm really enjoying this." OCD is a cycle of doubt and exhausting discomfort. Obsessive passion, on the other hand, starts from a place of love, but it mutates over time into a rigid trap that locks the individual in an exhausting cycle of contingent self-worth. Which brings us to our final thought. Which path are you on? Take a hard look at the things you love most in this world. Does your passion fuel your life, allowing you to grow, adapt, and build true psychological resilience? Or has it become your master, dictating your self-worth and forcing you to persist at literally all costs? Understanding the dual nature of passion is the absolute first step to reclaiming your autonomy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will leave you to ponder that question.
Until then, take care.